So you know about the link between PMDD and trauma, and this paper could explain a little bit of what's happening under the hood. So we know that estrogen is linked to brain plasticity. So the more estrogen we have, usually the quicker our brains are able to learn. But this study recently came out that was explaining that one of the ways in which, some people develop trauma and others don't is that, let's say two people are having a negative experience, and one of them is going to remember that as traumatic and it will impact them as a traumatic experience, whereas another person might just think of that as a negative and bad thing that happened to them. And the thing that determines whether you encode it and your brain encodes it as a traumatic experience is based on essentially how your brain remembers it. And so the more plastic your brain is, which is associated with estrogen levels, the more likely you are to hyperlearn. So imagine you're having a negative experience and then your brain repeats it and repeats it and repeats it and learns from it, then that's more likely to get encoded as something that is traumatic. And so the study, which is still just done on mice, but this is very exciting, is essentially showing that in periods of our menstrual phases, when we have higher levels of estrogen that we are producing, we might be more at risk of developing traumatic experiences. So the same experience that we have while having low levels of estrogen might not be encoded as a traumatic experience, while with high levels of estrogen, it might be encoded as a high traumatic experience. And that could be one of the reasons where, for example, women with higher levels of estrogen got a negative experience, developed that traumatic experience, and as a result, they might develop these recurring symptoms such as PMDD later in life. It's all still speculation because still this is just mice data. So far, this is one of the most promising and interesting explanations about the link between trauma and PMDD that I haven't seen that much good research on.